Well, here with us now is the Labour MP David Lammy. He's campaigning for a second referendum and urging Parliament to reject last week's results. It's never going to happen though, is it?
Well, actually, we haven't got a plan. Last week's referendum was an advisory referendum. Ultimately, we have a sovereign parliament in this country. It's a parliament of representatives. They will have to decide any deal. They will have to decide whether we move forward to an Article 50. And with the pound falling to an all-time low, with shares in RBS, Barclays, Wimpy Taylor, Bovis, our big construction companies, all falling, with our economy in disarray and with no plan, the time now is for Parliament to act, given, frankly, that we had a referendum that should have been a two-thirds majority for such a constitutional change, that should have involved the 19 million Brits that live beyond our islands at this stage as expats in other European countries, and frankly, given the scale of the difference between Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England, it absolutely should have been a quadruple lock where all countries had to be united to move forward. So Parliament, our system now, precisely, so who sorts out the mess? Parliament. And I'm very clear, I will not vote for Brexit in this country on behalf of my constituents and let down the young people of Britain. I won't do it.
OK, so if Nigel Farage was sitting here now and saying the same thing, if the vote had gone minimally the other way, you'd be saying, don't give him the time of day.
He said he was going to do that, didn't he?
Yes.
And what I'm saying to you, those who believed in Remain fight and fight hard, and many people are emailing me who feel terrible that they voted Leave. Now that they see that they're not going to get 350 million a week.
Total?
No, 350 million a week.
Do you have proof of that?
I've got proof of that. I can send it to you, Kay, if you want to see it.
Yes, please.
But they said that they were going to get 350 million a week. It's not going to happen. They said there'd be no... Look at Boris rowing back on free movement, basically this morning. So the truth is,
the in-campaign have also been rowing back. We were told that the economy would tank. That's not happened.
Kay, what planet are you living on? Have you seen RBS shares?
I have.
Have you seen Barclays shares?
Yes.
Have you seen the pound falling?
I have.
And that's not tanking.
But have you seen what's happening with the FTSE 100?
That's not tanking.
Have you seen what's happening with the FTSE 100?
Investment is drying up as we speak. Petrol is about to rise. Our economy is tanking because of this madness.
We were told that the markets would crash,
and we need to end it.
Haven't.
We need to end it. We now look like we've got two political parties turning in on themselves for the next 2 months, and in the meantime, it's the poorest people in this country that will suffer.
There's not going to be many tears for bankers if their shares go down. Nobody who voted in order to leave the European Union cares really what's happening as far as the banks are concerned.
Jobs.
They are cared. Well, it's about immigration. That's what it's about. That's what people voted on.
I know, and guess what? They're going to be terribly let down because if we have a trade deal, it will involve free movement. So, as was discussed, there will still be movement. There will still be people in the country.
Was all put out there.
So
people
what we've done,
so
what has happened?
We have to accept that people had their own vote. One vote could make the difference. People decided that what they wanted to do was leave.
Those people have been let down, and we've unleashed the nastiest racism and xenophobia I've ever seen in this country. I'm not a bad loser. You do not have constitutional changes of this kind without a two-thirds majority. And that's why Margaret Thatcher hated referendums, and that's why when the Brits set up Western Germany, we banned referendums. We don't have rule by the mob, we have rule by a sovereign parliament of representatives that the world looks to. And at the moment, our reputation's in tatters, and people...
Were you calling for that before the referendum?
Was I calling for what?
For two-thirds. We needed to have two-thirds.
I always believed that a referendum without a quadruple lock, without two-thirds, was a mistake, an absolute mistake.
And you were vocal about that?
We're seeing the repercussions of that today.
And you were vocal about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I fought hard to remain. And what I'm saying is, when you look at what is happening to this country, those of us who still believe it should fight hard for it, given the scale of it. And let me say, I represent one of the poorest constituencies in this country.
Which way did they vote?
Though 3/4 of them want to remain, Kay. They want to remain. And I will be standing up for them. And I think you'll find that Scottish colleagues, Northern Irish colleagues, Liberal Democrats, and a lot of London and South colleagues will also be absolutely clear over the coming weeks. They are not going to support this. They will continue to fight for a Britain open to the world and a Britain in which our economy is protected. And that's certainly my position.
Too late for that?
Too late for that?
Yeah.
Well, Kay, if you want to live in a little England with a declining economy, where the freedom that you've enjoyed to travel around the world, you deny your children, that's up to you. Good luck to you. I don't, and I'm going to fight for the Britain I believe in.
But we've voted.
And
people have voted, and they have decided that they want to leave the European Union. The people had an advisory referendum. There was a small margin of victory, and frankly, it was a margin that no other country in the world would recognise for a constitutional change of this nature and an economic argument that should never have been put to a referendum in the first place, partly because it was only done really to satisfy right-wing Tories. So
that's why we've had it,
that we're in this
and I'm not prepared to hand this country over to Nigel Farage, and those that are watching and agree with me are signing this referendum because they get it too.
OK, who do you think should be the next leader of the Labour Party while we've got you?
Do you know what? I'm very sad the Labour Party is caught up in an internecine war and will be over the next 2 months. There are bigger fish to fry, and on this occasion, the deep trouble our country in is a bigger issue than the Labour Party or indeed the Conservatives. So I'm not getting caught up.
But you need a strong leader, don't you?
We do need a strong leader.
Who should that be?
Do you know what? I will support a leader that gets behind Remain. That's what I'll support in the coming fights ahead. Do
you think that Jeremy did? Because, of course, there were some suggestions that he wasn't strong enough. He certainly wasn't as vocal as you've been this afternoon.
No, he wasn't. And, you know, Jeremy's been a sceptic for many years, and certainly there were working-class voters in my constituency who didn't hear loud enough Labour's position. That is absolutely the case.
Good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Sky. Thank you.